you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Mega power, yeah.
We got it for you.
We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling dealing.
Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of Talk 'em in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast that puts the focus on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and of course, we pontificate upon the promo. I'm Adrian. You already know it's no BS coming from me. And for this episode, I'm joined by the bro out west. We got the doctor here out of lead. How you living, bro?
Hey, bro. How you doing, Adrian? Living, man. Living it up and loving it. Excited to get into it tonight.
I know you're ready for spring break. You can be honest with me. All right. Well, today's episode, y'all. Last episode we did an in the building report. I already told y'all March it looks to be a busy month for live events for pro wrestling. It's not just WWE, not just AEW. We're trying to cover everyone. So the last episode we did was WWE Elimination Chamber. This episode, we're doing something that a lot of you may not know about. And I'm excited to hear about it because Out of Lead here was in the building. And Out of Lead, what's the name of the show that we're reviewing?
The show we're going to be looking at is called NAW, or Nearly Average Wrestling. And I'm going to dig into a little bit more because it's a lot. But if you're a fan of pro wrestling, I cannot see why you wouldn't like it.
Awesome. That's a great setup. But before we get into that, y'all, we always got to tell you, go to intothebuilding.com. That'll bring you to our back catalog. We got plenty of episodes, plenty of conversations, plenty of interesting discussions about this thing within pro wrestling called the promo. We all love it. Our third host, Greg, he's traveling. Safe travels to you, Greg. All three of us always bring it each episode. We try to have fun. We try to laugh. We try to be honest about the promo because that's something that we all love. We love the talkers in pro wrestling. That's what we were raised on, and that's what brings us into the building. In case you were ever wondering, what does Talk 'em in the Building mean? But before we get into it, I got a little icebreaker for us, Out of Lead, and I do want your opinion on it because we briefly talked about it last episode. Our guy Danhausen debuted for WWE. I'm not gonna dwell too much on what happened in Elimination Chamber, but I do want to know your opinion on that debut. In fact, what I'm going to ask you is, what could have changed with the presentation of Danhausen's debut with WWE?
So, I don't want to go into make this the Danhausen episode because I haven't had my shot at talking about it.
For sure.
But you know, and Greg knows because we have a thread, in the lead up to the debut, I had two pitches that I thought fit the character and the tone of what Danhausen is after having been a fan of him for so many years.
For sure.
That fit the tone of what they did. What they did was not the Danhausen character.
Correct.
It was not at all. It is not indicative. It's not representative of who he is. It's almost like someone taking like in professional sports, like you see someone in different colors. Like the first time I saw like Shaq with the Heat, and I was like, I know it's gonna work, but that
something's
ain't
not
it.
right about it.
It's Shaq. He's there. He's still 7 foot tall.
Right.
He's still boxing people out, but it ain't the Shaq that I know. So there's an element of that, but then I question it because it's not like he's there. It's not like his own wife was choreographing the dancers, and so I'm split because it's hard because he hasn't been on TV in a long time. His presence they were banking on his online presence being what was gonna be out there, right?
For sure.
It created a buzz for the wrong reasons of the way that the Chicago crowd reacted or or reacted to a frag, you hear different versions, but they cut them off. They took out the lights too soon.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan of Danhausen. Go back to the past episodes.
Yeah.
We did a
We
whole
definitely
like
covered
segment
him,
on
couple
it.
episodes, yeah.
I set him up. I told you the minute he gets to WWE, he's gonna be the top seller. And look, there it is. But I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not gonna say I just saw the writing on the wall. Here he is. He's a character.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they did differently in a 45-second or minute-long segment on Raw is everything they should have done in the debut.
And that's great you say that. That's great that you say that, because that's what I wanted to ask you. Because it seemed like the reaction was completely different. It looked completely polar opposites of presentation of that character. So I'm glad that you did you took the words out of my mouth. You took the words out of my mouth.
But it's how smart that dude is, because he is a walking Simpsons character. I think if you ever go back to that Conan podcast he did when he was still like with ROH at the time, pre AEW purchase, if I remember correctly. He says, "It's like I'm Conan O'Brien that was possessed by a demon." And you think about that.
That makes sense.
To let it process,
that actually
right?
lives. Yeah, that makes
Conan
sense.
O'Brien as a demon wouldn't be like this scary. He'd be like cracking jokes and like messing with you, you know?
Right.
So I love the top of the segment. I think everybody picked up on it, but I love the fact that he said, and I was met to thunderous applause, or like everybody was cheering me when I came out. And it's like, that's all we need. Pro wrestling fans are, as much as they're fickle, they are forgiving, and they will buy into your character. And I think I've always said, he's like Pee-wee, he's an Elvira, he's this weird crossover character that just works. And this is why I say, again, like this is a connection we'll make with NAW, or Nearly Average Wrestling tonight. Pro wrestling fans, their tolerance for weird and strange is very, very wide. And if you get it, just like pro wrestling, right? We go down defending it, because at some point we're like, either you get it or you don't. That's Danhausen. And Monday proved it, right? It's, again, do we need this big show to show like that we care about you? No. Then again, I could see him coming back to that and doing it again, and the crowd's gonna go crazy, right? Because now
all it takes is one really good. Yeah, that's all it takes. And it's awesome to pair him with someone like a Dom Mysterio. Yeah. To be able to pair those two. Yeah, yeah.
So if you follow the threads as I was following them, immediately, this is how I knew, like, okay, we got everybody who was kind of like, I'm like, this guy sucks. This guy's, grumbling and mumbling. The minute he said, "You're cursed," literally just flooded the timeline. Oh, Dom's losing. He's done
immediately. Yep.
And that's all. That's all you need. Just like using a little legitimacy, and I think he's gonna go a long way. What is he? Does he need to be like a 5-star wrestler? No, I don't care.
Not at all. No need. But y'all, let us know in the comments, what do you think about Danhausen? Did you notice the difference between Elimination Chamber and Monday night? It seemed like they got their stuff together with presentation, put them in something that was fun and interesting, at least in our opinion. And hopefully Danhausen can ride that wave toward being one of the more popular superstars on WWE programming. But y'all let us know down below. All right, Ali, let's go ahead and get into the building report. First, I want you to give us a little background on this promotion, because this is my first time ever hearing about it.
Yeah.
I know you sent us something on the thread. I mean, in our chat about it, but this would be my first time hearing about it. So please introduce us all to.
Yeah, of course. So the easiest way, you're going to look them up online. Nearly Wrestling is the IG handle, or if you just Google up Nearly Average Wrestling, but IG is kind of the way to go. The proprietor, or the creative head of this program, is one Shane Hartline. Shane Hartline, funny enough, I knew of 10 years ago, easily, at an indie show where I grew up. And we didn't get a lot of big indie shows like that. And the main event had, quite the cast of characters. And I'll just put it this way. He was a player in the show. He wasn't the main event. He was but he's a comedy guy. He's a comedian. He's a improv, guy, but also someone who loves wrestling and has dabbled in pro wrestling, has been a performer in the ring, has trained to an extent, I believe. And that event where I saw him 10 years ago, this is the battle royale ended like this, or this is the resolution to the battle royale.
Okay.
And it was a very goofy character. It was by Kazarni, formerly of WWE long ago. This was his promotion, right? That dude. And he was there. Eventually, I'm sitting to someone he knows, so I'm chit-chatting. I find out like, oh, hey, so I'm making connections. I've been following this guy since.
Okay.
So I knew there's this creativity. That main event, whether he was involved or not, ended in the Kraken coming out of the ring and grabbing wrestlers, and they're like, with this puppet, and it's huge. Wow. It's huge. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind for the review tonight.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, this guy's interesting, right? This guy, and so I followed him online because like he was just like a comedian and whatnot, or not just comedian, improv guy. So I actually went to one of his improv shows around that time, just that actually he had done improv with other wrestlers at the time when they would be in LA. So he's always had this wrestling connection over the years.
Gotcha.
Just of varying degrees. As I'm following him, he's had this career. He's had bit parts on like Star Wars. He's had bit parts on The Pit, which I watch pretty religiously.
Okay.
So he's a working actor. He's definitely a working actor. But as all passion goes, he's still working at his craft. And this is certainly a passion project. So Nearly Average Wrestling is his promotion within this comedy show that is run out of a small independent comedy theater called the Elysian, primarily out of the Elysian. I know he runs it in other spots, but at least that's where I saw it. This particular venue is essentially it's the exit to go to Dodger Stadium. So it's like down the street from Dodger Stadium.
Okay.
Really great venue, small, intimate. It's taped for YouTube, which funny enough, the episode I'm going to talk about tonight actually drops tomorrow. So the timing is pretty perfect, pretty professionally shot.
Nice.
And it's interesting because I think word has gotten around as all things happen, right? It is essentially a promo battle. So the setup of the show that then he pads out with all these other his cast of characters, so to speak, is he has a panel, a la any TV show you've seen with a panel.
For sure.
And they're typically comedians. Like they're mostly comedians and wrestlers or wrestling celebrities or wrestling, someone tangentially related to wrestling. So he had like Jonathan Coachman on. He had Ron Funches on before the Traitors fame and him blowing up. So he's had like this just running. He's having John Morrison on the next show next month.
That makes sense.
So and then he'll pepper it with working comedians. So I follow like Clayton Thomas, and he showed up that night. That CT is dope on IG. He has Martin Morrow, who's done like Netflix stuff, and then there's this tongue in cheek where like the audience maybe is friends of theirs or people of theirs, and the idea is he sets up the show. It's themed. When I went, it was Valentine's Day, so there was a Cupid guy who I recognize is also like a former wrestler.
Nice.
and he was hilarious. And they had like a pole match and a ladder match at the end. It was crazy.
Nice. Okay.
Shane Haste, formerly of New Japan and ROH, was there, and he was there, and Pretty Peter Avalon was there, and they did their little spot.
Okay.
So and then you have a working band, and they're doing intro songs, and they're they're the gel that they're the glue that keeps the show going. And funny enough, what do you call your band at a pro wrestling comedy show? You call them the Jim Johnstons. Of course you would, right?
That's a good. Yeah, that's good. That's
so
good
then
stuff.
He sets up the show and says, anyone from the audience before the show, you put your name in the bucket. A made up name, a character name, your real name, whatever it is. And during the show, we will randomly call people up from the bucket, and you have 1 minute to do a promo on stage.
Oh,
you could be a manager, you could be a wrestler, you could be a referee. And that's when you realize, oh, this isn't set up. Maybe, I don't know, it's pro wrestling. Maybe some of them are pretty set up because some of them are really, really, really good.
Right.
But some of them are just straight up probably like a fan, like you or I going up there.
Nice.
And I did go with the wife. She's like, I thought I kind of want to go up. I was like, and then I saw the first person, like, no, I'm gonna stay in that. I'm not gonna live forever online and bury myself. And bro, it's LA, I get it, but the level of talent that went up was something else. And I know I've been to comedy shows my whole life. Like, I mean, the Comedy Store and, you know, long ago, the Laugh Factory more often. Like there's, and then just Imp IO West and, you know, Upright Citizens Brigade. Like we just got there's a lot of going on in the comedy sphere. I mean, people come here and they're just working out stuff, right? But to see people just have this fully formed character and not just that have quips ready, because then they go to a panel and the panel and characters is grading them because they're wrestling fans. Like Ron Funches is a you know, a working comedian, but he's also a hardcore wrestling fan, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's funny, this particular night, the guest wrestler was EFFY.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And if you follow wrestling, you think of that's like a thinking man's kind of way of thinking of wrestling. Like, hey, I don't care if you're the best wrestler. Let's just see if the character works.
For sure.
And you saw the gamut. It ran the gamut in terms of like, I could have sworn one of the guys on there, I think he's on TV right now. And he just went up there and he did a gimmick about him being a failed podiatrist. And he goes up there and he's talking about feet. And of course, the first panel goes like, sounds like you're trying to be a heel. And the whole crowd just like loses it.
Right,
you know?
Right. Okay.
But you had that. And again, 1 minute, but then they're peppering in. So he'll bring in his team of creative from backstage to help the promo. And maybe they can run it again. And then Cupid will come in and do a little interference. And there was a raptor too. Like a guy in a raptor costume. And he was doing it. So it's just this real wacky, weird show. It's like but the crux of it, it's improv.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, a wrestling match broke out.
Hell yeah.
A ladder match. And then they're doing the whole thing. And the Jim Johnsons and it just reaches this crescendo of just madness. And maybe there's like 50 of us in that place. I mean, that's hard to say. But it sounded like there was like, 200 or something like that.
That's crazy.
Because everybody's losing their mind. So the setup is real simple, but you can tell it's a very thoughtfully put out show in terms of like the beats he's trying to carry. But like as any good improv, he's trying to push people along to say like, no, like cheat to the camera, like go here, but very subtly, because ultimately it's like it was a really fun show awesome. In terms of the setup. So if you're in the LA area and he's running this show, I think it's gaining traction. I know he doesn't run them like every like 4 times a week or something like that. But look them out. I know they're running March 14th. This time further out, not the same venue. But name is Shane Hartline. That's who you want to Google. And I mean, we can go down the line. I know typically we talk about like the merch stands and this, that. So we can get into a little bit more.
Let's go ahead and get into it. But I mean, we always start the ratings off by asking the most important question, which is who talked you into the building?
Honestly, he did. Because I have been following him. He's done several shows of these, and because I have seen him do improv in a more controlled, just like obviously he'll throw in wrestling pieces, but that's not a wrestling audience at a typical improv show. So I'm like, I questioned it because I even would say this audience wasn't the typical wrestling audience. I looked at the crowd, I'm like, this isn't a wrestling audience. But I think some of them were their what's friends, or is like, maybe they already go to other shows at the
maybe they've worked together with
maybe they work together
active,
right, so many things. But man, it was I don't think you have to be a wrestling fan to just appreciate like how funny it is. So definitely he talked me into the building through his Instagram, and he's done some co-promotion with another wrestling from Hollywood, which is a former NWA affiliate. So there's that's definitely him.
Okay. First category, we always like to talk about this crowd. Give us from A to F, how would you grade the crowd?
It was an interesting crowd. A bit of a mix of folks who I don't think were wrestling fans, some who clearly were just because they had the shirt on, it was not hard to see like a DX shirt or something like that. But it was Friday night before Valentine's Day,
Valentine's
so
Day, the 13th. Nice.
several couples there, and it was a little bit of a date night for some people there, including myself. So that had an interesting dynamic. And it's just a cool spot. Like, it's a cool venue. It's easy to get to, plenty of street parking. So I think the participation, the audience was mixed. But again, I'll keep repeating this. Once the show got going, it's the whole wrestling piece was almost, it's like, this is a show. This is entertainment.
Right. So what letter grade?
Oh, A+. A+.
Okay. All right,
yeah,
sweet.
I highly recommended. Bring your friends, get rowdy, go up there and try it out.
Nice. Okay, so next category, production. We always like to talk about it for all of these shows, whether it's a WWE or AEW. It's more so a higher level production. But when we go to our independents or smaller shows, there are things that they can do to make the production a grand thing. So I want to know. I heard about the Kraken, so I want to know from letter A to F, what would you grade the production, and then tell us more about production
in the context of what the show is, and knowing that it's an independent show. We're talking $20 tickets. I mean, this was not an expensive show by any means. I have a hard time believing, and I hate to say this, Shane, because I really love the show. I have a hard time believing he made his money back because there was so much talent on the show. The production for a show like this in such a confined space. I mean, it's a small stage, and that the band is on a second tier, this tiny corner, and it's a full band. It's, drums, the whole thing. Yeah. And he manages to have like pro wrestlers on more than there was other pro wrestlers that showed up after the fact. And what's that red stuff that you put on to make you smell? I mean, that's all that was permeating through the air. Hot stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, you had easily like 20 talent there, like including the comedians and the wrestlers and the periphery people, and they were all fitting on the stage. And then he set dressed it. He had like some blow ups for like to make it Valentine's Day themed, and he had the dude in the Cupid costume, and he has a little ring, a little mini half, for a person basically to give that edge. And then he comes out and he's also like in character, and so it's very thoughtful in terms of how he set it up. There's like a screen in the back where the countdown is happening, and then in the show, this is the production value to me that elevates a little more, even though it's a little thing. So it's a screen that clearly used like just to project whatever the name of the show is, but they were using it as a Titantron.
Nice.
So every time they cut a promo that's like villain characters trying to take over the promotion, that's where we saw it. He's like, I don't know, come to NAW and take over, and sure enough, that's where the ending comes from. Yeah. So I'd give it a solid A. It was very thoughtful, and dare I say, probably more thoughtful than some other indie shows I've been to.
And that's really good hearing a smaller scale Fed actually take production serious. Yeah, that's something that a lot of independent shows could probably need to step up on the production value. Like, you can use whatever connections to figure out costumes and lighting, and you utilize those things that are already at the venue to your benefit. Like you said, they made a low-key Titantron. So that's creative. That's good. And I love that you gave them an A. Next category. This is a big one for you and I. The merch. I want to know, what was the deal with was there a merch stand? Were there shirts on sale? Was it plentiful? What was the deal with merch at NAW?
I'm going to show you a piece of merch right here. These are the official NAW sunglasses.
There we go.
That I'm gonna sport here for a little bit. So merch was on point. And who was your merch seller? It was Shane. Soon as the show ended, they took a group picture. They invited us on stage to be part of the group picture. He disappears, and I'm taking pictures with EFFY. I'm taking pictures with Shane Hayes. I'm, glad handing with the talent there because I really enjoyed my time. And I told my wife, like, hey, I really want something. So I walk out, and sure enough, he has a merch stand set up that he's manning, and he got
Nice.
shirts out of luggage, and he got glasses. He has everything set up there. Limited merch, mind you, but solid merch with the logo, little camo shirt there in all the sizes. And man, he's hustling. I gotta give him that because it's a little lobby. It's not this big place. So he's greeting you. Thank you for coming out. Hey, you want a shirt? Reasonably priced, and here you go. Okay. And he did hook me up. So there you go.
Nice. Okay. So I'm assuming this is at A.
There's an A. Absolutely.
All right. Cool. Hell yeah, they're on a good streak right now. All right. This is one that sometimes is hit or miss with our shows, but concessions. I want to know letter A through F, and let us know what was the deal.
I didn't particularly go in for concessions because dinner was earlier and everything. So I did approach the bar there, and they had your typical very, very simple concessions. They had like seltzer waters and non-alcoholic beers. I don't think they have a liquor license, so they had enough. They had enough that it's a comedy venue, so maybe some candy, maybe some.
That's what I was going to ask. Some snacks or something. Okay.
Yeah, some basic snacks. Nothing that it's not going to be a meal. Not at all.
Right.
I could have missed. Maybe they were. Maybe it was. Maybe a different night. But it wasn't anything that I'd go there and be upset about and say like, so solid C. I think that was fine.
Okay.
But I wouldn't have an expectation of more than that, to be honest.
Got you. Now this category is one of my favorites, and this is who stole the show.
Man, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I almost want you guys to check out the show on YouTube, which again it should be dropping.
We'll put a link. We'll definitely put a
tomorrow.
link
Yeah. So this particular show will drop tomorrow, and so because the concept of the show is varied, there's so many characters, right? If I had to pick a character, man, this was just because I thought she was hilarious, and this dude basically
goes up.
He goes in, and I guess you win a championship if you win for the night, and they call you back the next week.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
you have to defend it.
Line.
Okay,
there's a through, and you have to defend it.
Okay.
This thought out. I'm not even fronting, dude. Like it's legit. Like it's good.
Yeah.
And this was Agnes, so this dude that plays an old lady.
Okay.
And man, the voice, the mannerisms, but just the sharpness. You can tell this guy does like improv.
For sure.
Because he had an answer for everything. And I'll say this. I'm gonna spoil it because you can watch the show. It's funny. So towards the end, he brings people from backstage to be like, consultant, or I'm the voice coach or whatever. Everybody has a role. I forget what this character was because there's so much going on. So this guy came out and is in a full octopus costume.
Oh,
and he's like hitting EFFY and hitting everybody with their limbs and stuff and dragging it. And he approaches and then he approaches Agnes like, nobody loves me. And Agnes just plays into it and says like, oh, I love you, honey. And they go off and they just like the bodyguard, like he lifts her up and walks her off stage.
No.
And it just becomes this thing. But it's just like, I love this Agnes character because it was just like boom, boom, boom. Like he did the promo again and then just was just really good at playing off the crowd and playing off the other comedians because they're peppering you. They're trying to get a little rise out of you. But the good ones, which was there more than one good one that night, were really good at just the good playing off and not taking things too seriously.
Yeah,
you could tell the people that were like, they thought maybe this was something fun, and it wasn't quite the night. But I'll give a lot of credit to Shane, regardless if you were this prime performer who's super seasoned and can perform at the drop of fact, or if you just went up there and you wanted to give it a shot. He gave you the space and even coached you to some extent a little bit and really made you feel welcome. And it wasn't this negativity where it's like, boom off the stage. Right. It was so positive, so positive.
That's cool. And that makes you want to continue to go each and every time. because you're only going to get better and better. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, final category, man. I want to get an overall grade for the show. I'm assuming I know the answer based on a lot of your answers, man.
Hurting by the end of the night. I mean, maybe I'm gonna have to watch the episode and see if I can even hear myself, because I legit was audibly laughing so hard. And I love comedy. Like, I love going to live shows and stand up and improv or just a good, like a performance. But it's something that, as wrestling fans, when you find someone that gets what you like and can put it in the context of pro wrestling, again, let's go back to Danhausen, right? And really honor it and elevate it and give it the space that I believe it should have. I think it's pro wrestling is this art form that, when done well, I think is better than anything I like, right? And I like a lot of stuff. And I think by that nature, I think this was such a fun show. Like, I don't want to qualify it and tell you like it's this masterpiece. It was a fun way to spend the night.
That's
it was
awesome,
a good
man.
use of my $20, and I can't give it more than the ring endorsement. If you're not LA, go support them. Check them out.
Yeah,
on
check
YouTube.
out their YouTube.
Nearly Average Wrestling or NAW. Yeah. Shane Hartline, if you want to just look him up, and he's a good dude too. He's like legit. So
that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you and your lady enjoyed you all's evening, Friday the 13th, and that's a fun way to enjoy it. Your Valentine's weekend. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that you were able to share that with us, and let us know in the chat. Have you ever heard of this promotion? Are you interested in checking them out? If you are, check the episode description. We'll have a link to the show that's dropping this week. So great. I mean, thank you again, Ali, for even bringing this to the to the floor, man. I love hearing how many different types of pro wrestling shows can exist. It just really shows, like, we can go to an all women's show. We can go to a comedy aspect show. We can go to, everyone flipping and doing their best AJ Styles impression show. Like, we have so many different types of wrestling shows here in the States and internationally that we all should really try to support, especially if they're doing good work. And it sounds like this was a good promoter. It sounds like this was a fun show, and we need to support those kind of people. So I'm definitely I want you to send me links in the chat. I'm in the chat so I can follow immediately. And I'm definitely checking out the show because
and they have a back catalog too, for sure. So you can go back and watch like the Ron Funches episode, was actually the show before I went to it. And there's like a goblin. Oh man, dude, you're gonna.
I want to see the Kraken. I want to see the
you
Kraken.
Personally, are gonna love it.
You had me sold on the Kraken. So
Kraken or octopus, wherever this guy is, it's the dude. But again, all these guys. Again, I don't want to overstep now, but basically, every performer that was actually hired as a performer, these are heavy hitters. These are like guys that are on the road, on doing their craft, and it's evident. I mean, it's like, oh, these are pros. These are total pros.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, listeners, thank you all again for checking us out. Once again, this was an In the Building report ran by Brother Adelaide, who enjoyed NAW. Check them out. Go to intothebuilding.com. That will bring you to the back catalog. Plenty of great episodes, plenty of In the Building reports that we do. Whenever one of us pops up to a show, sometimes one of our buddies or friends of the podcast, they'll go to a show. We bring them on. We want to know what was the live audience experience. We don't want to just base it on what we saw on television or read on the dirt sheets. We want to know what actually went down. So that's our In the Building report. We also have our Rushmore of Wrestling. That's a series that Greg runs. Always a fun debate topic, and we always get loose in there. And, of course, our Dusty Reviews. That's when we cover some current product and highlights, lowlights, and all in between. And we debate how many Dusties does that promo warrant. But for Adelaide out west, I'm Adrian. You already know it's no BS coming from me. We're Talking in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast that puts the focus on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and of course, we pontificate about the promo. We'll see you next week. Peace.